Welcome to the 5th Kalpa, the deepest region of the Labyrinth of Amala. Here we take a look at the Megami Tensei series and all the little details that make it great. With the release of Strange Journey Redux coming out sometime in 2018 here in the West, it's clear that Atlus has realized how much potential the Mega 10 games have outside of Japan. Unfortunately, not all of the games that were remade ended up getting a North American release. Today on the 5th Kalpa, we are going to take a look at the games that we never got, even though they were fully redone years after the original's release. Off the top, we have a game that's not really a remake. Well, it kind of is. It's more of a slight alteration to the original game. When Raito Kuzunoha vs King Abaddon was released outside Japan, certain copies came packaged with a special edition of Nocturne called Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne Maniacs Chronicles Edition. Instead of the infamous meme of the Megami Tensei series Dante from Devil May Cry, there's Raito Kuzunoha the 14th. Not to mention, Raito is a slightly superior companion. Not only does he have his own stock of 6 demons unique to him, for example, Moshovu, McCoy, Yoshitsune. Not only that, but one of his moves, Raito the Aeon, gives him the added effect of Pierce, allowing him to actually, have a purpose during the ultimate boss. I wish there was more to note, but as far as I know, that's the only thing that sets these versions apart from each other. The original Megami Tensei games came out on the Famicom in 1987, but its true claim to fame was on the SNES in 1992 with the release of Shin Megami Tensei. Following the massive amount of success from the new series, the old games were given a facelift for the new console generation in 1995 with the release of Kyaku Megami Tensei. It contains a bundle of the first 2 games, along with a few added Easter eggs that were not in the previous games, mostly correlating to actions you did in the first game affecting the outcome of certain events in the second. For example, if you give Izanami the Silk Thread in Megami Tensei 1, then when she's brought back in the second game, she gives you a robe. So in a way, it's kind of like a prototype of what they did later on with, Digital Devil Saga and Raito Kuzunoha. This was released only a few months prior to the US even getting our first, even remotely Megami Tensei related game, which would be Jack Bros. So needless to say, there was never a conversation about having this brought over to the West. However, an unofficial patch does exist for this game, so nothing's stopping you from downloading a ROM and giving it a play. I'm mostly sure Atlus does not give a shit. Persona games are probably the most successful and mainstream part of the series, whether hardcore fans like it or not. Personally, I didn't mind until I saw Dancing Night Moon and Persona Q2. I mean, Jesus fucking Christ! Atlus hasn't completely forgotten about the original games, or at least they didn't forget about them in 2011 where they released PSP remakes of Persona 1 and Persona 2 Innocent Sin here in the West. It was nice to experience the origins of the series and play the second half of the Persona 2 duology that, well, before then you can only experience through a fan-made translation. Poorly done censorship aside, they were overall better games. What's odd is that while we got a remake of Innocent Sin, we didn't get a remake of Eternal Punishment. It did happen though. 1 year after the Innocent Sin remake, a remake of Eternal Punishment was released on the PSP. According to the Megami Tensei Wiki and pretty much any other source that I looked at, it was cancelled due to unusual circumstances, which could be, I don't know, maybe it's sold like shit? Who knows? Either way, we got a PS1 classic port, or pretty much the same game without any of the improvements. Apparently a team is working on a fan translation of the PSP remake, but that's still off in the distance. The game that would later go on to be the inspiration for the Persona games, Shin Megami Tensei If, also got a remake in the form of a PlayStation, PC, and iOS game. However, none of which are in English, nor does there seem to be any effort to translate it in the first place. I mean, there was an Aeon Genesis patch in the works, You know, the team that translated the first few games, but it's kind of in development hell. Something really fun to note about the PS1 version is that if the game detects that you have any other Atlas games saved onto your memory card, it will give you a bunch of perks, like useful skills and items early, and added stats for the player and demons. It's also one of the only SMT games where you're allowed to pick the gender of the protagonist. The Devil Summoner games have always been interesting to me. I've been trying to beat Soul Hackers on and off for the past 2 or 3 years. It's a good game, I just didn't feel that oomph. I mean, you know, like, yeah, I like the story, the demon artwork is nice as always, but, I'm just... Anyway, we're not talking about Soul Hackers. If you believe it, the first Devil Summoner game got a port on Sony's PSP sometime back. Apparently it wasn't brought over here because of lack of new content, which is a crock of shit right there. Like, the original was never released over here, so any content would have been new content. Even the series that most Megami Tensei fans think is the weakest, the Devil Children games, got remakes. The originals were released on the Game Boy Color back in the year 2000 with a significantly more kid-friendly aesthetic. Probably to bank off the Pokemon craze at the time. Just a mere 2 years later, they got their own remakes on a PlayStation. Just like every other game on this list, a fan translation is apparently in the works. I'm just as surprised as you are. Every single one of the original Shin Megami Tensei games got remakes. By that I mean the first 2 games. The second game was remade 3 times, and the first one was remade a total of 5 times. Yeah, I know. The first one got remade in English for iOS devices, but I heard it was steaming hot garbage. So in this case, we never got a good port of the first game. It didn't even look that good on the iOS. I mean, really not on Game Boy either. The demon sprites just don't translate well on there, especially when they don't really do much to change it. Maybe I'm just jealous because I can't play them, because I have an Android phone. Yeah, it's probably jealousy. So, in between this and my last video, we hit the first milestone that any channel wishes they would get to, which is 100 subscribers. Why did every car decide to drive by whenever I just started recording? That is my luck. Whatever, I'm gonna keep it in. This is like at the end of the video, so whatever. Who watches to this point anyway. But yeah, we hit 100 and that is so cool. It's like the start. I guess I need to make more now. That's the simple of it. I just need to start cranking out stuff more often. I have like a note on my desktop about like ideas to do, and I want to try each one of them. But yeah, this is just the start, and I'm happy we got here, so thank you to everyone. Also, fun fact, I started making this like as soon as I got my Persona 5 food video out. But then, not only did I get sick, but I lost internet again. So, that kind of set me behind schedule a lot. But you know, it's out now, and this is kind of a shorter video, so I guess that's good because it didn't require a whole lot of, I don't want to say work, but work. Anyway, I'm rambling now. I don't want to have this video be rambling, so thank you so much again for watching, and again, more stuff to come soon. Hopefully I don't, break my mouth.